Welcome into another edition of Dolphins Today, and it's an exciting one. They're always exciting. I'm your host, Jake Riepma, but we begin today with some breaking news and some really good news and some deserving news. Austin Jackson, the Dolphins' right tackle, officially inking a brand new deal, a 3-year extension, and it's worth $36 million. So the right tackle that's been protecting Tua's blind side, remember, Tua's a lefty, the right tackle earns a payday, an enormous payday, and good for him. Here's the official tweet from the NFL insider, Ian Rapoport, that made it official. And this is coming on the heels of a career year for Austin Jackson, which Rapoport notes at the bottom. And again, Tua's a lefty, so the right tackle actually serving as the blind side, really important. And I love this photo. You see the smile, and why not? It's a guy that's battled some adversity, a little bit more on that in a moment, but was drafted out of USC in 2020 and didn't exactly perform up to the hopes and expectations early on in his career. But this year, as really you could say to make the case for the entire Dolphins offensive line, they've really come together as a unit, and Austin Jackson has been reliable and done a great job in a number of different components of offensive line play and deserves that contract extension. So congratulations to Austin Jackson, and let's show some love as we always do on Dolphins Today. It's real easy. We want to congratulate Dolphins offensive tackle Austin Jackson on the contract extension. Type AJ in the comments, and let's show the right tackle protecting to his blind side some love. So as I mentioned, Austin Jackson, a little bit of a roller coaster career, right? Drafted in 2020 out of USC and had really high expectations and high hopes. Didn't really perform up to those expectations early on in his career. But if you take a look at the numbers this year, in 12 games played, he has been phenomenal. 2 sacks allowed and the 6 penalties. Now, Pro Football Focus, what do we always say? It's not the end-all, be-all. It is one benchmark, but he's one of the higher-graded right tackles with that 67.3 grade. And again, he's been reliable, which, not to knock the entire Dolphins offensive line, they've just battled a lot of injuries. And a little bit more on Austin Jackson from Pro Football Focus. Most recent game against the Washington Commanders. Not that we ever have recency bias by any means, but it is kind of interesting that this contract extension comes on the heels of arguably his best game. 25 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks, and I love the little flex emoji down at the bottom of that tweet because that's what Austin Jackson was doing against the Commanders. He was protecting Tua, and he was flexing on them as well. So Austin Jackson is secured as a Miami Dolphins. His future is in Miami for the next 3 years. And what does that mean as far as the rest of the Dolphins offensive line chart? You've got Connor Williams at center. Isaiah Wynn remains on injured reserve. And we know what it is with Teron Armstead, all-pro caliber player. However, the health and availability has been a question for Armstead, not just this year, but throughout his entire career. But that right side, Austin Jackson, the right tackle, Rob Hunt battling a hamstring injury as well. Now, a little bit more from Barry Jackson, one of the Dolphins insiders, saying Jackson agreed to that 3-year extension. He's given up fewer QB pressures than any AFC tackle who has played a comparable amount as far as snap count. So any way you slice it, I think this made a lot of sense for the Dolphins as they start to establish the offensive line as a position group that's gone from a glaring weakness and some would even say an Achilles heel to a strength of the team, which is really impressive. And obviously, we're all football guys here. We all know the importance of offensive line play, but take a look at it. They've battled adversity. They've battled injuries, 8 different starting combinations in 2023. And you think about it, 8's a lot. 8's a ton for 12 games. In 12 games, the Dolphins have had 8 different offensive line starting combinations, but they've still been able to perform as a unit. And I think that has a lot to do with first-year offensive line coach Butch Barry, who seems to be getting the most out of not just Austin Jackson, but every single offensive lineman on the Dolphins roster seems to be having, if not a career year, certainly one of their better years. And you see at the bottom there, fewest QB hits allowed in the NFL, which obviously that's important, especially considering the injuries that Tua has battled throughout his career. So protecting him, fewest QB hits is crucial. Also paramount, just the third fewest sacks allowed in the NFL. So fewest QB sacks, or fewest QB hits rather, and third fewest sacks. Really good performance from the Dolphins offensive line. And oh, by the way, they lead the NFL in rushing as well. So it's not just the pass blocking, but the run blocking has been tremendous all season long for the Dolphins, especially considering the fact they've started 8 different starting combinations in 12 games. So let's get those red pens out and get our grades going for the Dolphins offensive line through 12 games. You got to let me know in the comments, what grade would you give this Dolphins offensive line? It's real simple: A, B, C, D, or F. And for me, listen, I'm very, very close to giving out that perfect A, or as Michael Scott would say, maybe an A++, but I'll go A- because in the Dolphins' 3 losses, the offensive line play has not been very good. So I'll go A-, so that way there's no complacency from the offensive line. They're still striving for that A++, but it has been really, really good. And a pleasant surprise to me, probably to you as well, because when you look at a lot of the preseason articles that were being published about this Dolphins team, and specifically the offense, you thought, oh, tons of weapons, but can Tua stay healthy? Can the Dolphins protect Tua? And the offensive line has a ton to do with that, and they have certainly performed at an elite level. Coming up, now that Austin Jackson has signed, who's going to be next? There are some big names on the Dolphins roster that they need to prepare to sign so that they don't hit the free agent market in 2024. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor today, the one and only Prize Picks. Guys, I've been telling you about Prize Picks for months, so by now you know, but I'm going to remind you just in case. Prize Picks is far and away the most fun I've had, and I've even won up to 25 times my money this football season. Forget the team fantasy. It's all about daily fantasy sports. You just select 2 or more players, you pick more or less on their projected stats, and you place your entry. It's that easy and it's that fun. You get quick withdrawals, easy game plan, and an enormous selection of players and stat types to choose from. That's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And get this is crazy because Prize Picks is the only one that does this. They offer a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So for football and basketball games, let's say you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. And PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy, and that's a pretty good year to do that based on some of the injuries that have happened for this season. So I really enjoy that reboot policy. And again, PrizePicks is the only one that offers that. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. prizepicks.com/CLNS. And what do I always say? We love you and we care about you. That's why we put the link in the description of today's video. So it's that easy. prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, Dolphins in 2024 have some decisions to make as it relates to some big names on their roster. And we look at the notable names that will be pending free agents in 2024. Marcel Louis-Jacques, one of the Dolphins insiders, puts it right out there for you on the internet so we all know. Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel, Rob Hunt, and Connor Williams all set to hit the free agent market in 2024. And I love what Marcel says here. Should all be re-signed before getting the opportunity to do so. So let's take it player by player because, again, if you've been following the Dolphins, those are some pretty big names. We'll start with Christian Wilkins, and he's been having an exceptional season. The 46 tackles, and most importantly with Christian Wilkins, he's just been that anchor up front defensively for this Dolphins defense that's been getting better and better every single game. He's got the 6.5 sacks. Really impressive stuff there. Him and Zach Zeeler together really have been causing fits for a number of different teams' offensive line, and of course, most recently against the Washington Commanders. You see the 4 quarterbacks hurries there as well. So this is going to sound familiar, so just go ahead and get ready to hear me say this a couple of different times. Here's a guy you need to extend. because of the production that's there, Christian Wilkins, a guy I want to see Chris Grier extend. Now, let's move on. Andrew Van Ginkel. If you've been watching Hard Knocks, you know he's been a pretty impactful player, especially as of late. He had that pick 6 against the Commanders. I don't want to see him hit the free agent market in 2024 because he's the 6th best edge rusher in the National Football League, according to Pro Football Focus. He's ahead, and this is according to Pro Football Focus, with the grading sheet. You know what we say about that. It's just one benchmark, but he's ahead of guys like Max Crosby on that. He's somebody you'll want to extend. So again, it's going to get repetitive, but bear with me. Here's a guy you'll want to extend. So yes, Christian Wilkins. Yes, Andrew Van Ginkel as well. Now let's move on back to the offensive line. That's where we find Connor Williams, the center, that yes, he's had a couple of bad snaps, but as a center, he has performed at an elite level and he has silenced all the doubters, all the critics that might be out there with Connor Williams. The former product out of Texas has been exceptional, and you see it right on the bottom of your screen there. The highest graded center in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, with a better than 85% grade at that center position. And that's accounting for over 30 centers that have played enough snaps, and Connor Williams has been the best. So, again, that's a guy you want to extend, just as Marcel said on the Twitter sphere. These are all guys that you don't want to see hit the free agent market. And last but certainly not least, we stay on the offensive line, and that's where we take a look at Robert Hunt. I know he's nursing a hamstring injury right now, but 495 snaps, a decent sample size, just 1 sack allowed and just 1 penalty. He's the 5th highest graded player at his position. So again, I'll save you the trouble, but you probably know what's coming. Here's a guy you want to extend. Those are 4 huge names that Chris Grier needs to extend before they hit the free agent market. So that front office has their work cut out for them. But you know what? As we always do on Dolphins Today, we allow you to voice whatever it is you've got going on. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Is there anyone you don't want to see the Dolphins re-sign from that list? Maybe you're still a Connor Williams hater. Maybe you think the Andrew Van Ginkel stuff, yeah, we can do better at the edge rushing position. Or maybe you're not sold on Rob Hunt because of the hamstring injuries. Let me know down in the comments if there's one of those 4 players that you don't think should be re-signed. But I say, hey, all 4 of those guys represent guys that I want to see in the aqua and orange next year and moving forward. So Chris Grier, let's see you make it happen, because these Dolphins have come to play this year in 2023, and obviously the 9-3 record is proof of that, as well as the number 1 seed in the AFC as it stands right now. So Chris Grier, let's see you make it happen. And my friends, Austin Jackson signing the deal today. We made a video about it. That's why you subscribe, because anytime the Dolphins make a move, we've got you covered from all angles. We've got daily Dolphins content. We've got live shows every week. And of course, our live watch party. The next one, Monday Night Football, Dolphins versus Titans, back in the friendly confines at Hard Rock Stadium, where the Dolphins are undefeated this season. So make sure you have your notifications set so you don't miss a minute. But as always, my friends, a pleasure being with you today on Dolphins Today. And a big shout out to Tex on the 1s and 2s, keeping the ship moving forward here on Dolphins Today. I'm your host, Jake Riepma, and we'll see you next time on Dolphins Today.